Hello everyone, good morning. So our first panel for the day. So we are at our Excel Awards where we talk about PR, where we talk about corporate communication, the diverse industry that it is. So we had a great keynote speech by Anuj sir as well. And coming to our first session, where we will talk about, post-tweet engage, the dynamic duo of social media and PR and Copcom strategies. So before I begin with my session, firstly, I would request all of you to give a great round of applause for our panelists, for our first panelists who are a power pack in themselves. So, so if you can, ma'am, if we can start with you on a quick introduction about your industries, so that would be like really.
I'm Nikhill Bharadwaj. I head corporate communications and PR for Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. I think general insurance is an exciting field, a very high growing, I would say, full of crisis as well. But communication is something that's now become the backbone of it because as you know, the insurance penetration in India is very low, and the important job of ensuring that people know more about insurance is something that we do, and apart from the other stuff.
My name is Sonal Singh. I am the corporate communication lead for Jindal Stainless. And while all of you do use razor blades and spoons and there are coins in your pocket that my company has helped produce, none of it has been sold directly. So you have absolutely no direct rabta with the company. However, it is one of the greatest financial turnaround stories of its own time. It has gone from deep red into one of the most profitable businesses in metals in the country. We are now in the top 5 in the world and of course top in the India. So yeah, from a communications perspective, a very great story to be told, and I have been here for the last 7 years. Prior to that, I was with Steel Authority of India Limited. And Anuj Dayal was actually my teacher in Indian Institute of Mass Comm. So there's a link in this event also.
Good morning, everyone. This is Amit Arora. Hi, everyone. So I am Amit Arora. I take care of corporate communication at housing.com. So we basically have 3 brands. So the parent company is REA India. So we have housing.com, proptiger.com, and makan.com. We are the country's leading PropTech company. I had comms for the group for all the companies. And in addition to the corporate communication, I also work on podcasts, which is Keeping It Real by housing.com. So that is also one of my job in addition to the comms, which I take care of internal and external. Glad to be here. Thank you.
So, firstly, thank you so much for your time and giving out your crucial time of the people who are one of the backbones of brands, organizations to bring up with. Now, when we talk about PR and corporate communications, it has evolved over the years. We have seen traditional media, we have seen digital media, and then we have seen PR and Copcoms, dwelling up to it and coping up to it every now and then. So, in regard to our panel discussions topic, firstly, I would like to know, how do you ensure that there is a seamless alignment between social media and, the objectives of PR and corporate communications? Nikhill, if I start with you, how do you ensure that? What is the role of social media in achieving those overarching business objectives when it comes of organizations comes into play of PR and Copcoms?
Okay, so when it comes to comms, typically if you see PR folks were talked of in the old ages as people who shouted from rooftops and announced to the entire village and city as to what's happening. I would say social media is when you shout from multiple rooftops of multiple towns all at once. So I look at social media as an amplification sort of a mechanism or a media, and it's playing a very crucial role, and both of them are syncing together. It does a fantastic job. It again depends all on you said objectives. I think what's your objective? Do you want to get information about a product, about a category? What is it that you want to communicate to your final TG? Of course, at the end of the day, PR does the important job of ensuring that information in the most authentic, raw form reaches everybody that it's intended to reach. And social media is more from an engagement standpoint, give you metrics, it's more metricized. Although PR does now give you a lot of metrics in terms of reach and share of voice and the others. But I think authentic engagement comes out of social. You can do a lot of fun stuff on social that probably you can't do with traditional PR, say with print or some of the static long form content, I was to put it. You can do demos, you can do a lot of stuff. Like a lot of electronic companies, for example, do a lot of demos. If you look at phones, you look at laptops. There's one thing announcing they've launched a new phone, but having an influencer on social, use it and give their review. That's how you can kind of connect the dots and make it work. For insurance, for example, I think if you launch a good product, you need to create awareness about it, how it works, because I'm sure a lot of people in this room, if I were to have a show of hands, how many of you all have an insurance policy, either a motor health, motor, all of you all will put your hands up. Health, not a lot will have their individual policies, will have policies from their organizations. So building that awareness is something you do more seriously on the PR side and more fun, engaging, but yes, in a sort of authentic way on the social side as well.
Definitely. I think it gives a very strong vibe, because especially when you talk about health insurance, that trust, that insurance in sector particularly, that trust is very much required. Yes, Sonal, your views on it?
Yeah, so totally agree with Nikhill on first trying to understand the objective. There is a popular meme that says that बस अपने आप को ही ढूंढना बाकी रह गया है, बाकी सब तो Google पे है. So it is a very important question to answer, and that answer has to come not just from PR. Of course, PR is the scripter of that answer, and it is also the advocate, the advisor for that answer to the CEO and the MD. But actually, the answer is an organizational answer. कि हमें जाना कहाँ है? What is it that we want to achieve? Now, when it comes to whether, basis what I want to achieve, whether my PR strategy or my social media strategy are syncing or not, that totally depends on how the internal structuring at the company is done. Now, the people here are those people who are managing PR for their companies, and if they are also managing or actively contributing to the social media interface of the organization, there is no chance that there will be dissonance. However, if the internal workings of the organization are not done to the effect that there is consonance in what we say, that disconnect will come. And I think a big struggle of PR people, comms people, which is largely internal, is not known to people at large. However, when we are sitting in a community of communicators, ये बात बताई जा सकती है कि आधी लड़ाई हम घर पे लड़ते हैं. And then the remaining war is, of course, fought with others. And then comes the question of how you disseminate the message. तो वहाँ तक की जहाँ बात करते हैं, I totally agree with what Nikhill said. PR is the omnibus. That is the vision statement. And social media becomes the tool for us to implement. So to be specific to my industry, for instance, shareholder community became a very important community to engage with, also from communication point of view, because the company had taken huge debts. It had gone under corporate debt restructuring. There was a time when everything in the organization was mortgaged. From there, trying to convince people and investors to not run out of the company, not vacate the ship when it was sinking, because we were very sure that with the rising growth of India and the world, stainless steel will bounce back. And to be able to canvass to the government that please stop the dumping that is coming from China and Indonesia at subsidized rates, because you have to let your country manufacturers grow. So that kind of corporate advocacy was being done at the PR level. And social media became our tools, to shout from the rooftops that, hey, this is, stainless steel, if you build bridges in stainless steel, it'll last you 150 years. Accidents like Bhayandar will never happen. Hey, the coins in your pocket are made by us. Hey, if you use razor blade that is made out of steel, it'll probably give you a nick that is going to take your life. So that kind of canvassing, very B2C kind of canvassing was done through social media. But the important elements, I think PR remained the mother of the communication message box.
Got it. Amit, similarly for you also, what role do you believe that social media, because social media has become a very important domain in today's date. A lot of people are getting attracted. There's a lot of metrics that can be taken upon it. So what do you think what is the role of social media in achieving those business goals of the organizations that we come across? And how does PR and Corpcom help inculcate in achieving those business goals?
Thank you. And, I would like to take on from what my colleague just said, that, that the role has evolved. The social media, role in the PR and the communication industry per se has evolved. I think if we see that the social media is so dynamic, I would say that we are currently in a screen age to an influencer age. So starting from, I would say, if we go back and starting from, I would say, Stone Age, which took us around over 3 million years to move from Stone Age to the next. So here we are living in a screen age where the scenario is so dynamic that, whatever we are talking today might not be relevant, when we meet tomorrow next, or maybe the next time when we meet. So the scenario is changing so fast, and the role of screen in our lives has evolved so much that, 5-10 years back, we were just talking that, everybody is on screen, everybody is on screen, we are on screen in our house, we are on screen in our offices. Then thanks to COVID, office joined our home, and the screen got merged. Then now the influencer age where everyone is an influencer. Hence, we were just talking before this session, Nikhill and me, and we were just talking that, how nowadays crisis stuck, you never know. So he was just giving an example that, anybody from any corner of the country, will call him and tell him that, I have, around 5 lakh followers, and I have this news, and this is what I think I should be running it. So he's the best person to give you that example, though. But yeah, so we are living in that age where the scenario is so dynamic that, we go to sleep at night, and next morning, what all things will be there, you will never realize. So we and comms industry, the social media has become so much part of our comms strategy, so much part of our very important channel based on, as my co-panelist rightly said, based on the objectives. But whatever objective you will have different channels and ways wherein you can explore social media to integrate with your objective and the comm strategy. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Understood. So, since you mentioned that we are in an era where everyone is an influencer today. So, and our topic about is social media, engagement, corporate communication, PR, and also, of course, the brand guidelines. So, when we talk about social media, I think the most active right now is your Gen Z and your Gen Alpha that is also upcoming. Like the last Gen Z is 26 years old today. So, and plus Gen Alpha is the next generation, and they're also supremely active. Like I see 14-year-olds being influencers today. So, when it comes to comms professionals, how do you strike a balance between authentic engagement? Because all people in today's date, because even Gen Z is an influencer in your decisions, in the decisions in the family. So how do you strike that balance between authentic engagement by also adhering to the brand guidelines? We all are from different, sectors in the industry. Do you believe that there is a differentiation or there are challenges in different communications when you try to, employ that authenticity towards your audience? Amit, if I start with you on this itself.
You rightly said that authenticity is something which is of prime importance nowadays. You got to catch the imagination of your consumer. You got to understand your consumer, and especially in a country like India, I would say where culturally we are so bonded. So you need to understand the Indian psyche. I would say, I will not talk about global per se, but especially in India, we are so culturally strong. Hence, authenticity, trust is something which is always being taught to us. So it becomes prime importance for us. Hence, I think for every brand nowadays, every brand understands this. And that's why, they know that, whatever we do, whatever marketing we do, whatever PR we do, the bottom line is the authenticity and the trust, which like you cannot cross that line. So whoever has crossed that line, they have they have seen the results. But yeah, I think that is culture is very important when it comes to for any brand. Yeah.
True. I mean, like even when we speak about brand engagement, brand engagement, this authenticity, it gets difficult. I understand it gets difficult because there are certain, rules. There are certain sets where the brand says, okay, this is supposed to be done. There was a time when influencers were doing only what brands were telling. It was very scripted, and people got bored out of it. They were not interested anymore. That why should we buy it? Like everyone is buying like when you call FMCG sectors, like everyone is buying chocolates of different variations. So it got very natural. So does it get difficult, or do you think And there are so many social media channels. Do you believe that it gets difficult?
See, you're absolutely right that, that I think that era is long over now. So now for example, brand like us, we are a prop tech company. So you will not find, many influencer talking about real estate industry per se. More so, the leading influencers in real estate industry would be the journalists. Right, so they have the maximum reach or engagement per se. And then there are very few influencers in our space, especially on social media, very few influencers who will talk. But if we talk about other industries, what I have, what I have learned or what I have seen is that people have identified key influencers in their particular industry and they are just focusing on them. So they are earlier, they used to do that, let's call 100 influencers. Like for example, a phone company launching their new phone, used to ask us that, we will hold a separate conference, press conference or separate conference just for influencers. But now the thing has changed. Now the scenario has changed. I'm talking about 6-8 years back. But in last 3-4 years, the scenario of influencers has changed. So now they'll only call influencers who are well connected, who are authentic, who will have some bent toward their brand, or they will do just a blanket agreement with some key influencers, and they'll tell them that you can only in this space you can only work with us. So I think you're right that the scenario has changed drastically.
Got it. Sonal, similarly, like again, when we talk about today's generation, when we talk about Gen Z, they are a very strong driving force. Authenticity is, again, they should be able to relate to what they're seeing. They want to, be a part of it, be empathetic towards it. And with so many social media channels, and they are spread across all channels, not only Gen Z, be it Gen Y, Gen X, Twitter is there, Instagram is there, Facebook is there. Now WhatsApp has also somehow become a medium. And our new social media Threads has also come up. Do you think it becomes difficult to, communicate that message across various channels when it comes to, having that authentic engagement towards them? Because social media is, of course, somewhere people can, respond. It's very direct conversation that is happening. So do you think it becomes difficult, and how do you would say from your idea you strike a balance between brand and the authenticity?
A very good question, Reema. And thanks to you, I know about Gen Alpha. नहीं तो मैं अभी तक Gen Z समझ रही थी latest को. So whether it is difficult or not to have a consistent brand image across all channels, across new age platforms, it is tricky. And that's where the fun is. So इसमें मुझे एक example याद आया. बहुत कुछ साल पहले my team came up with a creative. It was a social media creative, and one of our key agendas in communication is to drive category differentiation. यानी कि stainless steel or aluminium का फर्क समझाना. And our importance is, the distinction is that stainless steel doesn't rust. So एक side of creative में there was a nut and bolt and it was rusted. And the other side there was a stainless steel nut and bolt and it was together and it was not rusted. And the copy read, "Screw safe, world's AIDS day." So now that was a tricky creative. अब इसका क्या किया जाए? So to say कि हम क्या हमारे पास हमेशा easy answers रहेंगे, is it a linear path? Of course it is not, which is why it is so much more fun. And if you are not thinking, if you are not taking chances, अगर आपकी मिट्टी गीली नहीं है, आप experiment नहीं कर रहे हैं, chances are that we are going on to become a very boring brand. Anyway, at that point in time, I could not take the call, so I upward delegated the question to Mr. Jindal, and the creator went to him and he looked at it and he said, "Ha, shoot." So what I'm trying to tell here is that brands are people. और जिस तरीके से एक व्यक्तित्व को निखारा जाता है across all platforms. For instance, if I'm a person, I am available on, my family WhatsApp groups just to be available there, right? I have no interest in, let's say, a lot of extended groups, but I'm there. Similarly, as a brand, I'm there on Twitter. I'm not sharing any political commentary. I am not telling you about a lot of product offerings. You're not going to buy my slabs and sheets and coils, even if I were to tell you about 100 things. But I'm doing what I have to do. I'm doing my namaste. I'm doing my, all the niceties that I have to do. But when I am on Instagram, I'm dealing with the future buyers, I'm dealing with engineers, I'm talking to architects, I'm talking to people who are taking decisions, or even students who are going to opt for stainless steel elective courses in IITs that I'm running. There I have a point to make. So there I will say, I'll tailor my message according to how I would do if I were a person. मैं young किसी से बात करूँगी तो obviously उसे किसी बूढ़े script में तो बात नहीं करूँगी. Similarly, if I'm on LinkedIn, I'm talking to a different professional set of audience. I have a different tone and tenor. So I think if you are very clear about the person you are, and hence the brand personality that your brand is, then there is absolutely no dharm sankat. Sometimes, of course, there will be tricky situations like these, and you've got to handle them on the spot.
Great. Nikhill, similarly, thank you, by the way, Sonal, for reminding me that LinkedIn is also a social media platform now. So, Nikhill, coming to you, so again, social media platforms, adhering to brand guidelines, and PR and Corpcoms are actually, in a very stiff position that, how to communicate this further. So when it comes to so many social media platforms, there's, different, because as she mentioned that, when that screw wala example, it's screw safe. It was a very interesting one. Gen Z bahut relate karega. They will be able to connect with it. Okay, this is something interesting out of the box. But again, there are upper, leaders who have to, give that approval that, okay, this can go. How can it harm? And PR Corpcoms also have this in their head that, will it harm? Can it backfire? So when you're communicating through so many channels, Corpcoms have to be very, crucial about it, that if it backfires, how do we handle that? So do you believe it becomes difficult in communicating in so many platforms? Because if even in an insurance sector, there are different variations. Instagram is undoubtedly the most popular when it comes to social media, being very vocal. Children are, showing their parents that, okay, mom or dad, this is it. Even I go to my parents at times that, you know what, this is a nice product. But again, it becomes different for, like, LinkedIn has a different approach. So how do you believe that the communication revolves around all those sectors?
See, number one, we keep speaking of Gen Z as people who have short attention spans, and I completely differ with that. And it's backed by the fact that print is making a comeback. Yeah. And that is because Gen Z has a very beautiful bullshit filter. Yeah, they know who's speaking bullshit and who's authentic. So at the end of the day, online today there's a lot of bullshit, very little authentic data. So obviously newspapers are construed as authentic, so they want to go back to them and kind of declutter that thing. Authenticity aside, I think social media has to be entertaining. Yeah, look at a reel, look at a Facebook video. What do you need to do to see the next one? Just scroll and see the next one. Attention grabbing is in the first 3 to 5 seconds. If you're able to do that, great. But if you're not able to do that, you play it safe, you don't want to offend anybody, you want to be sensible all the time, which we as PR folks always have the mandate to be, you're not experimenting. So which means you will fail on social. Then it's just a tick mark that, hey, I have put out a happy Diwali post to everybody around, and be happy with the fact that I got X amount of engagement on it, and kumbaya. And at the end of the day, I might put out a nice little product, and say that click here to know more, and I get clicks out of it, and I show those metrics in a nice presentation. But you want to be entertaining. I mean, what's your brand personality is what you need to capture. Like Amul sells butter, but when I talk about Amul, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is there commentary on political issues or issues within the country, on hoardings, on social media? It's got nothing to do with butter. It's got nothing to do with the cooperative or the philosophy of Amul. themselves to be fun from a marketing standpoint, so that when you think of something fun, you're like, hey, what's the new Amul creative like? Yeah, you want to understand what's the new Zomato social media post like, for example. It's because it has pure entertainment value. But don't differentiate people who are looking at these two contents as separate. I go to a newspaper not for entertainment, I go there for facts, I go there for authenticity. I don't always go to social media to understand what's authentic there. I just go for entertainment. Creative, nice, good stuff. And somewhere at the back of the mind there's a brand recall, and somewhere reading the authentic stuff, watching the fun stuff has my attention, interest, and the pyramid, I don't need to get into it. But somewhere back of the mind, recall is created, and that's how sale happens. Many times marketers and comms folks forget that marketing is about creating demand. It's not just about saying that, hey, I am so-and-so, khareedna hai khareed, warna mat khareed. End of the day, I want you to buy, because that's what's paying us salary. And creating that demand is a jugalbandi of all of this put together. And that's why there's no right or wrong medium, there is just ways of approaching it.
Got it. So, okay, now Sonal, if I ask you this, that, when we talk about communication, when we talk about authentic self, when we talk about social media, Nikhill rightly said that, traditional media is also making a comeback. Gen Z, yes, they have said that they have a short time span, short attention span, but also they are very intrigued about what is knowing what is there. They want that credibility to be there. They're very much more aware than the previous generations. What challenges do you face when integrating social media strategies into your traditional PR strategies? That thought, because of course that traditional PR strategies were what we came up with initially, and though they still have relevance, but again they need to be continuously evolved. They're continuously evolved. The communication is continuously evolving to connect with all of them. Since we are all from the different sectors as well, do you feel it becomes like, for some sectors it's easy, for some sectors it's difficult? Is it more challenging for some sectors?
Yeah, so you actually made my answer easy by mentioning the sector filter. So if you are in a B2B sector like we are, and prior to that I was in a retail company, so I've seen the difference between being in a B2C sector and working in a B2B sector. What's very hard to do is get people's interest on social media. So after years of trying, frankly, to capture, for instance, Instagram engagement rates, LinkedIn engagement rates were always, going through the roof for us. But Instagram, Facebook engagement rates, surprisingly, because it is now a 45 plus platform, were always very high for us. It was only in Insta that we suffered. And when we started sharing BTS videos, and I was not expecting that. People, how we make, how we pour, hot metal into the ladle, and how chromium is added, and how nickel is added at the refining stage. Those kind of videos started getting amazing amount of traction. And before then, we were showing our products, we were showing our people, we were showing culture, awards, absolutely no interest there. So what, other than, of course, entertainment, which has to be, so these videos are entertaining, they're very satisfying to see. There's also information that Gen Z is after. They just want to know everything of everything. So we started giving out that information. However, if I were to prove the efficacy of this entire game plan to my management, that remains a challenge, because it's a B2B sector where it will not convert into buying action. That is the missing link between B2B and B2C. In a B2C, you always have a shop now button or lead to button, there is a conversion. But in B2B, there is absolutely no way to prove that the increased amount of awareness is leading to sales, because 99% of people on the social media are not our buyers. And even if they were our buyers, B2B buyers in India are moved only by the margins. There is no such thing as customer loyalty. Customers are actively disloyal in a place like India, where grofers, if they drop 10 rupees, you'll go to Blinkit. If Blinkit drops 2 rupees, you'll go to some other channel. So that is the difference between B2B and B2C, and I still face that challenge, but yeah, there are little wins along the way.
Understood. Amit, on your note, like, what challenges do you see in this integration of social media and the traditional PR strategies with the Gen Z, of course, when it comes to that attention span, as well as that credibility, authenticity again, that they're looking forward for? Because as Sonal rightly mentioned, that they get excited or they get intrigued by things which are not very usual. the BTS videos, how, very simple things, but that can, have grab their attention. And short videos, of course, work brilliantly. So what are the challenges that you feel are there?
See, I think that the times have changed. Nowadays, the thing is that the generation nowadays, they tend to follow the trend. Following the trend has become very important. So even if something which is not authentic, goes viral, and something like the recent changes which we are seeing in the social media, be it deep fake, somebody like Sachin Tendulkar has to come out and give a statement for a deep fake video. So I mean, this is alarming for us. Hence, it becomes very important that we need to understand the authenticity of the individual or the organization, because earlier when in our MBA days we were taught that media is one of the pillar of democracy for our country, and I would say that remains. So people need to understand that it remains there. Hence, the lot of authenticity comes from there. So for a news consumption, obviously you have a pillar, but for other you don't have any guidelines, you don't have any benchmark. But still, it's very important to before you share, before you reshare, or before you forward, it becomes very important that you become responsible yourself. So I think that is something which is very important.
Got it. Nikhil, your thoughts on the shortcomings and challenges that you face, because naturally you have been in the industry for a very long time. You have seen the industry evolving as well, the requirements changing. So what are the challenges that you face with the social media integration today? Because of course, you mentioned that short videos work. So what other challenges do you face when it comes to integrating those traditional PR strategies and coming into play in today's date?
I think we spoke about it, Amit. I think it's customer complaints. I think, for example, I think Twitter is nothing but a complaint box. I mean, if you want shit done, write on Twitter, brands will respond. And double-edged sword, as they call it, or a double-edged razor blade, if I may. But it is, people will just write crap about you, which is factual, non-factual. And worst part is, some people who have not had their claim paid, for example, will join the party. And God forbid you have insured some celebrity and they happen to not get their claim on time, for whatever reason. God save you, because the metrics will hit the roof. You'll have millions of views, millions of shares, everybody hooting you and saying that the bullshit brand and all of that. So that is one disadvantage clearly. If you mess up, or even if you don't, people can take perception to the next level, and negative is something that really hits you hard. So it's a game that you need to play. If played well, it can pay rich dividends. So managing that space well is ORM, as we call it, Organizational Reputation Management, is very, very crucial. You can no longer say that, we will come back to you, please DM us and all of that. Of course, a lot of brands try to take the conversation offline. But ensuring that once you solve the issue, the said person has deleted the tweet or deleted the post, write something positive about you, has importance, because at the end of the day, you don't want people talking negative about you. So I think that's number one, one of the biggest challenges. Number two, obviously, cultural sensitivities, nuances. So in the spirit of entertainment, you don't want to hurt somebody's sentiments. A lot of us tend to have Hindi-specific content and names for campaigns. We very seldom think how they'll be taken in south of India. We have English campaigns and we are trying to hit Bharat or semi-urban rural India. How does that all play out is something which is a challenge, because you're addressing a mass audience without the segmentation that you might get, say, if you want to hit publications in certain areas. I think that's these two really, really stand out for me. Last but not the least, and we discussed about it, a lot of our managements today, including our MD CEOs, are in their own right influencers. A lot of people write stuff about the organization tagging these folks. Their reputation is linked to the organization's reputation. Handling their social media well is now become almost an integral part of either the digital marketing or the PR fraternity of that, or PR department of that organization. So these are challenges that are challenge per se, but they need to be managed well. If you play that game well, there's a lot of engagement to be had, a lot of rich, authentic customers who can be onboarded almost from social. So yeah, trust can be built.
Got it. So, Nikhil, I'll be coming back to you only, so since you have mentioned that, there are MD CEOs, their image is also linked with it. And when we talk about PR and corporate communication, there are a lot of internal teams that, you have to indulge with. A lot of people, I'm still sure in today's date, do not exactly understand. Even I think apart from PRs, no one understands what exactly a PR does, to be very honest on that. Because there are various layers to it, from content to seeing what is going on, to the crisis, to handling it later. So how do you manage those? And PRs work very closely with the marketing teams. And when that comes into play, there is a new trend that is leveraging data analytics. So when you leverage your data in order, to make informed decisions and also make PR campaigns, what is the success and what is the impact of those PR campaigns by leveraging data and the internal team altogether?
Okay, again, it comes to objective and what you're trying to put out. Honestly, any PR person worth their salt here will say any coverage is good coverage. Bhai tu chhap is what we say. Ki bhaiya tu viewer badha, tu reader badha, tu MAV badha, whatever metrics you want to call it, we wanted. Obviously, relevant TG, bigger publication, more authentic journalists writing about you, writing positive about you, positive share of voice. These are metrics that matter. And obviously, you try and target those journalists that have a higher share of voice for you, because at the end of the day, apne appraisal mein dikhana hai ki we are number 1, number 2, number 3 in our space. As long as you're able to do that, I think that's how you use data for better understanding. Obviously, there are agencies that give you more insights into, the age groups, the cities, people are responding with you. I think corroborating that data with the number of customers you have, what is the demography of your customers, marrying the two. Okay, if you want to hit a different demographic. So, for example, I said semi-urban, rural India. Can I go more, multilingual? Can I go more local? I think we were discussing now there is a new breed of news called WhatsApp news. Every city has a WhatsApp news channel. And they can be damaging for you and good for you as well. So, hell, you don't need to reach out to the biggest publications. Sometimes going hyper-local can help as well. And I think that's how you leverage data. But again, depends on where you want to go, what you want to do. As for internal, you said you need to know. I think any PR person needs to know their business model inside out. If you don't understand your business model, you are basically going to be a glorified mail forwarder. यहाँ से mail करके वहाँ दे दिया, वहाँ से लेके यहाँ दे दिया. So you need to be able to be the first line of defense for your company. And when you're the first line of defense, you need to know your product, your services, your tats, your everything. And I think that is where a lot of PR folks tend to not know it and run around in confusion. Know your industry, know the metrics, know what your brand stands for. And I think if you're able to do that, then you're able to give a good, I would say, rapport back to media. You're able to respond to things better. You're able to handle queries. And of course, create a category. Because a lot of insurers journalists are clueless about insurance. Telling them what it means, what it could stand for. Hey, you want to know more? Let me connect you to somebody. But the first thing you say is, oh, एक second, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता, किसी और से बात करिए. That kills your authenticity, and in the long run, you will not come back to you. You'll go somewhere else. So I think that's crucial as well.
Got it. Amit, on the same note, like, how do you leverage these data analytic tools? Like, of course, we are speaking about social media. And when we are talking about the success and impact, it is much more quicker on social media. You can see the views, what are the views that is happening, how many people are commenting, liking, sharing. So how do you engage with those audience, and how do you leverage those data? Okay, that this is the target audience. As you mentioned that, sometimes even hyper-local going, it works. So, and now brands are trying to reach out to tier 2, tier 3 cities as well to expand. So how do you leverage those data in order to reach them?
Yeah, I would like to start from where he lives. So I think it's absolutely right that you need to engage with your consumer at the right platform and in the right language. Like, for example, on our website we have 12 languages. and and basis the query which comes to us on a social media platform, those are being responded in their respective languages. So India is a very unique market. So hence we need to understand that we got to have the queries responded, or got to have the communication done in that respective language. So even if, so to say, a basic thing like a press release, we as a brand, ensure that in each and every market, we have, although we are a tech company, but we have salespeople across the country. We have over 24 offices. So wherever, we have to, whatever communication goes out has to go out in all the target markets. So wherever we are going, we ensure that it is going in their respective language. It gives, it shows the value of the brand, that you respect each and every consumer. And in today's Me Too kind of age, where the product moreover remains the same, if ITC launches something, that becomes hit overnight. So just an example. So you need to ensure that it is not just the product, it's the consumer experience which matters. There are a lot of shopping portals, there are a lot of portals where you can search home, but the kind of experience, which you get on a particular platform is something which gets you, back to the same platform. Otherwise, everybody has a lot of options. We don't have time, and whoever gives us best experience, the browsing experience, the response time experience, the number of options, because we want options. We have become habitual of, n number of options. Like, I was recently reading HBR, Harvard Business Review's article, wherein they publish a very interesting case study of Netflix, that, in recent times, how Netflix has used the data in tagging a particular OTT, that, based on your surfing, they are noticing each and every, and the tagging happens automatically based on the way you surf. Hence, you will notice, you go to any platform, the kind of suggestions you will get on Netflix, you will not get on any other platform, not just because they have the data, it is also because they really work hard on data. And the same way, you come on housing.com, the kind of experience you get over there is something it's hard to get on any other platform. I don't want to sell my platform, but it's just that since we are number one, so yeah.
No, fair enough. I think experience is something I think everyone is wanting in today's date. So that is, I think, one of the crucial aspects that people are looking forward for. Sonal, your thoughts, because you are in the B2B industry majorly. So what are your thoughts? Like, how do you leverage data? How do you are able to connect with that social media, entire algorithm?
Social media algorithm is used largely to measure social media performance of how our information and awareness campaigns doing. But I'll come more to what Nikhill said, and I totally second what he said. If you do not know your data well enough, in fact, I think after the managing director of the company, if there has to be someone who's the focal data point giver of the company. In fact, I happen to know the workforce count of the company better than my own HR. And if that is not the expertise that with which we are going out to media, to our stakeholders, to the shareholders, then there is a problem. So it is the PR or the comms head who has to be aware of the data that is within the company. And as far as data points of the organization are concerned, they are great story points. I mean, we are the people who have nose for news. We are the journalists inside the company. We know how to make one rake story as one big story in Hisar, because there's the first rake that's going from Hisar to Sat Road or whatever. So churning that data, making it interesting, making it saleable to set different sets of audience, that's the role. And another thing is for PR, I was telling you how social media does not, cut ice with my management for budgets. But for PR, it is very easy because we do one effective release and next day we see our share prices going up. And then Mr. Jindal is a happy man. So yeah, so there is data for success as well.
Lovely. So we are almost done. However, I would like to know one thing from all of you. That is, since we are talking about the PR and Corpcom industry, it is something of my personal interest as well. So any words of wisdom or any advice you would like to give of to the people out here that what has changed and why PR should be the one that a profession that you should go for. Nikhill, if I start with you.
I think it's one of those exciting professions. You will never ever be short of excitement. Whether it's a positive excitement or negative excitement is something that is coin toss. Many times it's negative excitement with crisis, but positive excitement bahut sara hai, because companies that are doing well will keep coming out with new stuff, would want to create a category, broaden it, put out stuff, put out content, write loads and tons of content. To Sonal's point, churn tons of data to create content, and I think it's exciting because content forms are changing, short forms are coming up, listicles are coming up, and it's a test of your skill as to how you can put the relevant content out, and obviously put the relevant content to the relevant journalists or media. I think that's. Please join the PR if you are not joined, especially student folks.
They
do
should
join
actually
it.
come and figure out. Sonal?
So just imagine yourself as the Chanakya of the organization.
Sorry, but I really like that Chanakya of the organization.
Yeah, so it is Chanakya Niti. You are the person who's deciding to a great extent, seeing what your competitors are doing, which is the road you must take. You are the people also counseling your management most of the times without appearing as a counselor, because you are, because the owners are finally and the MD is the leader. But yes, you are counseling them as to what the voice of the organization has to be, how sentiments have to be handled, how empathy has to be inbuilt into the system, and how internal communication also has to be done. Also communicating to your own employees. And also what the, basically the content pillars, the listicles, everything. What all are going to be your ways and methods to communicate. If you are a person who's vigilant like Chanakya, you will get it all. So that is the stature of yourself. So I'll go with what Anuj sir said. Yes, you are in the most interesting profession, and yes, you deserve 3 times the salary that you currently get.
Amit, your last thoughts on this?
That's great. So yeah, all the time's up. I'll just want to add up to what my colleague just said. And in addition to that, I would say that it's a profession wherein you get an opportunity to understand varied business model to the core, to the bottom of it. As she just said that we as a comms department, we are the people who have all the numbers, who have all the understanding of the organization where we are headed to. In addition to that, I think it's also a profession which gives you an opportunity to build relationships, internal and external, which you don't get in a lot of professions. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Amit, Sonal, Nikhill. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you guys had a great time. I hope they had some great insights to it. I had a wonderful time, so thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.